Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. I'm Belinda Sandor. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Belinda Sandor. Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. I'm very excited to have you join us. And if this is your first time with me, welcome. I am the founder of the Virtual Assistant Connection, the VA Connection, where I coach and mentor established and aspiring VAs to create, grow, and scale their virtual assistant business. And I work with my clients in my free online community, my courses, and coaching programs. So today, I'll be your host for Lessons from the Cockpit, where I share every week tactical and practical information. And these tips are for you, whether you're just starting your VA business or you've been a VA for a while. So I'd love to hear where you're coming in from. So please put that in the comments. Now we're streaming live everywhere: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, please click the subscribe button so that you won't miss any of our trainings. We have at least 2 trainings a week, and I'd love to have you there. All right, good. So today we're going to talk about how to work with multiple clients at one time. And I know that it's a scary topic for a lot of you, and so we're going to spend some time on it. Okay, we're going to spend some time on it. So before we dive in, let me introduce myself for just a minute. All right. So this is me and my little Delish, I call her, almost 13 years ago, when I was just starting my VA business. And I started my path as a virtual assistant at kind of a scary time. You know, I'm a planner. You know, I'm definitely a planner, and I had plans for when I was going to turn 50, which was I was about to turn 50 in this picture, and I was thinking, the big 50 is coming, and I think about it for years ahead of time, right? I think about it for years ahead of time. And here's the thing. So this is what my expectation, which seemed very reasonable, right? I wanted to be happily married, but instead I'm actually getting divorced. Okay. I wanted to own a home. I'd always wanted to own a home, but instead of owning a home, I'm actually selling my home because I hadn't been able to pay the mortgage for over a year. And I thought that I would have financial freedom, right? I had been planning and saving and, thinking about retirement, from a pretty young age. And instead of that, what I had was debt. I had 6 figures of debt. I had 7 years of back taxes. Let me tell you, that is a job. I am so grateful that's behind me. But they needed to be filed and paid, and they were just these like 6 boxes, banker's boxes filled with receipts, that I had to figure out. And I also thought that, I thought that I thought that I would have, a great job because I was climbing the ladder, but I stepped off the ladder and I decided to start a business, and it didn't go well. It didn't go well. And that's where all of this financial chaos came from. But mostly, I was planning on being happy. A lot of us are planning on being happy, but instead I was completely stressed out, and I wasn't anywhere near where I wanted to be. And it was a hard day when I woke up and, sort of realized all this and where I had been. But I was pretty determined. I had a lot at stake. I wanted to provide for my daughter, and I did want to be happy. And I wasn't back then even dreaming about, owning another home or any of that. But I did need to start making a living, right? I definitely needed to start making a living. And the thing is that I knew instinctually that getting a job making $50,000 or $60,000 a year was not going to cut it. Even $70,000, because I had to support the day to day, and I had to overcome all of the debt that had racked up. And for those of you who, it's funny because when you are in a situation like this, there's a lot of commercials about, we're going to help you with the IRS and, all of these different things you can do with creditors. And it's not true. I mean, maybe for some people, but it didn't work out for me. I always in the back of my mind thought, okay, there's going to be a way to not get out of it, deal with it responsibly, but not be so burdened by this debt. But it didn't work that way. It didn't work that way. And so I had to really figure this out. And so I had done admin work as in my 20s, and I really liked it. I was pretty good at it. And I thought, all right, what if I start my own business? No one was encouraging me to do this, believe me. It was kind of the global opposite, especially after, struggling for 8 years with my previous business. Everyone's like, go get a job. But I wanted to make this work. I had this desire to have my own business. So what I did was I decided I was going to tell everyone I knew that I was doing admin work. And one morning at the school bus stop, I'm talking to the dads. One of the dads says, what's new? And I say, oh, I have this great idea. I'm going to start doing admin work, for people who have their own businesses. And he hired me. He needed me desperately. It was great because I already knew him. I trusted him. I wasn't scared, like, how is this going to go? And we're going to talk about that today. And then my next client I got at a wedding reception in the buffet line, not that minute, but, a couple weeks later. So what I want to tell you, and I wrote about an article about this, it's on the blog yesterday. So let's see, is today Wednesday? I've lost track of what day this is. Yeah. So May 22nd, 2023, if you're watching the replay, go check it out. It's all about prospecting and how it's a waste of time and what to do instead. All right. So definitely go check that out. Good. So everything that I did paid off for sure. My business, Rocket Girl Solutions, took off in 2010. I've worked with over 225 clients, and I've made well over $1 million as a virtual assistant. The first year I was in business, I made $70,000. And for the next 10 years, I made at least $100,000 being a virtual assistant working from home. So let's say hello to our friends who are here. So Sherry's here. Hello, Sherry. Excellent. And Deborah's here. Frederica, hello. And Amy, hello. And I bet this is I bet this is Tammy. And Charmaine is here. And Heather from Chattanooga. Hello. This must be Michelle from Frisco, Texas. Good morning, Tori from South Carolina. And here's someone from Virginia. And Tristy's here from Montana. And Valerie says, prospecting a waste of time. I need to read this blog. Yeah, I give you full permission to leave right now and go read it. It's a total waste of time. All right. Hatis is here. Hello from Texas. And it's Stephanie Lewis from Texas. Yes. Prospecting is, it's a total waste of time. And stay till the end, Valerie. I recognize your name. So you've been around a bit, but we're going to do a training on how to get clients starting on June 19th. It's called, Kickstart Your VA Business. So when people are starting from scratch or they just want to kick it up a notch. And we're going to talk a lot about getting clients then. Okay, good. And here's what it looks like now. All right. Here's what it looks like now. This is my husband, Greg. We've been married almost 2 years, and these are all of our kids. Emily, David, Charlie, Emily's in the middle, Stephen, and Andy. And everything is recovered. It's like the debt is handled. The IRS is on a payment plan and moving right along, mostly behind me, which is amazing. It was years. It's going to take about 7 years to pay it off. And I've been paying it every month. And it's such a relief because it felt so horrible to be that far behind in my life. I just had never experienced that before. And that happened a number of years ago, it's about 6 or 7 years ago that I climbed on top of everything, got it taken care of, and have a different life now, have a completely different life. All right. So who is ready to jump into this? Okay, good. Okay. Let's talk about managing multiple clients. I know a lot of you are really scared of this. At the height of my business, I had 53 clients. Now let's talk about how I did that. All right. So the first thing is I want you to know, and this is so important, and a lot of VAs get this wrong. You're not going to have clients that need you the same amount every week. You may have one or two, but the other clients, it's going to fluctuate. I have had clients who needed me 10 hours a week for 3 years. And then all of a sudden, without any notice, they need me for 2, or they don't need me at all. They've retired. So what I want you to focus on, instead of how many clients, is how much billable work, how many billable hours you need every week to hit your number. That's the deal. Because expecting clients to provide a certain amount of time every week, that's a job from their point of view, right? Because the beautiful thing about working with the virtual assistant is they're not tied to us. So let's not make them feel tied to us. All right. We want to have a relationship with them. Now, like I said, some of my clients, need me every week, some of them every day. And some of them, they fly in maybe once a month, and they want me to do their newsletter, update their blog, things like that, or update their website. And then I have others who they need me for a project, and then I don't hear from them again for 6 months. So letting go of the expectations of them all coming in at once, that's number one. That doesn't happen. All right. It just doesn't happen. And I know that yesterday I was doing a training, and someone was asking me, if they've prepaid for your time, which all of my clients prepay my time, and they show up and two people need something done at the very same time, what do you do? Because they've already paid for the time. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. It's not like you're sitting at a desk in an office and two people are going to walk up to you simultaneously. It's not like that. They're coming to you in email, right? Mostly you might have a meeting scheduled, but you are in charge of your schedule, right? You are in charge of your schedule. So for example, yesterday I posted social media for my client, Diane. She gave it to me 3 days ago. I had, I don't, how many hours is that? 3 times 24, it's 72 hours to figure out when I wanted to do it. And it took me 15 minutes. Okay. So it's just not like that. Now you might have a time period where you do have a client that's running a training and it's really busy and, all of these things. So what you do is you manage your calendar and you manage your client's expectations. Okay. So they just, and I'm going to talk about the relationship piece in a minute, but let's jump into it now. So you're going to actually create relationships, right? They're going to respect you. Okay. You're going to respect them. These are professional relationships. It's not like, I keep going back to this, and I need to figure out a better way to explain it. And I'd love to hear what you think about it, but it's not like you're outside their door. You're not at their beck and call. You're not their employee. You're not their helper. You are a professional service provider offering virtual assistance. And clients typically will come to me on a Friday and say, I'm finishing up my newsletter. I'll have it to you on Monday. Do you think you can put it on my website by Wednesday? It's like, yeah, I can do that. No problem. Right? Now, you're going to need to hold your boundaries. If you do not hold your boundaries, it's not only hold, it's set. If you don't set and hold your boundaries, you're going to be dead in the water in like 5 seconds. Okay. So let me talk about what that is. Now, in the beginning, and there's 2 other blog posts over there that you guys might want to check out. One is I just need X clients or something like that, talks about billable hours. And the other one is time to set some boundaries. I think it's called, if you just put boundaries into search, you'll see it. So here's how boundaries work. I have talked to virtual assistants who have said to me, I need better clients. These clients don't hold my boundaries. The clients are not in charge of holding the boundaries. You're in charge of holding the boundaries. It's like, pardon the analogy, but let's say you have a puppy and every day at dinner, you give the puppy a cookie, right? And then on the 30th day, you're like, you don't get any more cookies. And then the dog is like crying and whining and barking and so upset because every day you've been giving him cookies and you decide, it's not good for the dog. It's not good for me. I can't afford the treats. And this is what happens, right? We train them. So when you get a new client, I know you want to make them happy. I know that you want to please them. That's who we are. I know that. However, if you get an email from a client and you do the work 10 seconds later, or, answer them immediately, what you're doing is you're telling them you're available all the time. If you get a message at 7 o'clock at night and you answer it, don't be upset. when they text you at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, right? Don't be upset because you've set the boundary. You set the boundary. So I want to explain how to do that. Excuse me. So just because your clients are working doesn't mean you have to work. All right. So I send a letter of agreement. It's a letter of agreement. It's like a welcome email to my clients when I first start out. And it says, I'm at my desk from 9 to 5. I check emails all day long. You'll generally hear from me within 24 hours, usually sooner. All of this language about what I'm doing and when I'm available. So if a client, here's how you hold a boundary. If a client, oh, thank you, Tori, very much. Tori put the time to set some boundaries post in the chat. So the thing is that I've had this happen. So my client, Chris, he sent me an email. I'm trying to get the timeline right on a Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And then he texted me. I sent you an email. So I was at my desk, just happened to be there. I looked at the email and it was, could you set up a meeting with Joe Blow sometime, for 3 weeks from now? Okay. There's nothing urgent. No one's on fire. He's not saying my website is down and I just sent out an email. That's not what he's doing. He's asking me to set a meeting, right? And he's asking me Thursday night at 7. So I ignore both. I'm not working at 7. I'm at my desk, but I'm not working. Okay. So the next morning, at 8 o'clock in the morning, he texted me again. And I didn't answer it because I don't work at 8 o'clock in the morning. Again, this man is not on fire. Okay. He's not on fire and he's a good client, but he's also a client that I can tell he will very quickly get out of whack here. Okay. So at 9 o'clock, I text him. I usually don't text, but he's a texting guy. And I knew that when I signed up with him. So I'll text him back. Thank you so much. I'll do this when I can do this morning at 10. Okay. So I'm just setting the pace with this guy. All right. Because again, if I'm going to be texting with him all night long, if I let him know I'm available, because he's an entrepreneur, he's always on the go, he's always working, and that's how you set the boundary. I didn't have to say anything mean. I didn't have to accuse him of, I can't believe you did this. None of that. Because just because your clients are working, it doesn't mean you have to work, right? I mean, I work at night and on weekends and send stuff to my team. I don't expect them to do it right then. They don't do it right then unless they want to. But the point is that, clients, they will work to your schedule when that's the way it works. Okay. So definitely set your boundaries. Let me think about there's anything else I want to say about that before we go on. I don't think so. All right. Now let's talk about systems. Okay. If you're going to have multiple clients, you need systems like nobody's business. Now these systems are not complicated and they are not expensive. They are not complicated or expensive. So the first thing is you have to keep your digital files organized. So what I use, and you can use different solutions, but I have Dropbox set up with at the top level, there's a folder called clients. And then every single client has their own folder with their first name and their last name. I don't get fancy and call some the company name and then, some the client name. If there are multiple clients in one company, I use the name of the person who's writing the check, who's paying me. All right. Just to keep it simple. And then inside there, I have subfolders and I have things organized. All right. By what they are. So make sure that you're thoughtful about organizing that. You don't have to spend a lot of time before. Typically what happens is the clients will send me some files and they'll just go in their folder. And then they'll send me some more files. And I think, oh, I need to separate these. So then I create 2 folders. So it's not a big project. It might be a big project if you've got a mess, but you definitely do not want to save anything that's client related on your desktop. And you want to, if you're going to need a file again, remove it from your email. Your email is not a filing cabinet. If you treat it like a filing cabinet, you're going to waste a ton of time. I learned this the hard way. So I actually don't have any folders in my email because email is an information delivery system. That's all it is. So what I want you to do is if you're going to use the file and not need it again, just let it go. right? If you're going to use the file and you're going to need it again, save it into the client folder in an appropriate place where you can find it like that, okay? Keep your email cleaned out. So for me, as soon as my email goes over 100, I know I'm going to make a mistake. I just have had enough experience to know, you know what? Something's going to go missing here. So all day long, I'm archiving everything that I don't need. And then when work comes in for a client, I put it on my calendar, a little sliver of time, so that I remember and I can prioritize and move it around. So the calendar plays a key piece here, so that everything is on there, because I can't rely on my memory. With 53 clients, I can't remember what I had for breakfast. You know, it's like yesterday I went to the liquor store last night, and one of the women, where my daughter works, and one of the women there said, "You guys had such a fun day yesterday." And I was like, "What did we do yesterday?" I couldn't remember. I've done 20 million things and thought about even more since then, right? So definitely, keep your email clean, keep your calendar really tight, and then take notes. I use Evernote. You can use other things if you want, but don't do this with client information. It's just not safe. Okay. So what I want you to do is use Evernote, or you can use a notebook. You can use a Word document. The reason I like Evernote is because I put the new information at the top. It's really easy to move from client to client and keep things straight. All right. Also, password management. I use LastPass. It's actually been a little problematic lately, but password management is really key, because I don't have time to fool around. Like, this is the whole thing about having 53 clients. I'm billable 37 hours a week, 40 hours a week, when I have, this many clients, and I want to be productive. I want to make as much money as I can. So I am definitely, using password management. And then the other thing, obviously, but I'll say it out loud, time tracking, very carefully tracking my time. I use Free Toggle, tracking it every time. So I lump my work. So I'll do this client's work, close everything down, look at the time, put it in Toggle, take a breath, start the next one. That's how I work through all of my things. I call it lumping my work together. And then when my business was at its height, I used project management software. And it was just for me. It wasn't for my clients. And because at one particular day, I could be working on 5 different newsletters, for clients, or updating websites, or adding speakers, notes to something. So I kept everything, and I assigned myself deadlines. So at a glance, I could see everything that I had decided needed to be done on this day. Okay. It's a lot of systems, but the thing is, you're going to build it as you go. You build it as you go. This isn't like you're going to get it all ready and then a client comes. If someone handed me the systems I have in place now on day one, I would probably be in bed still, 13 years later. It was too much. I had to build it incrementally as I went. And systems they're not finite. They are a moment in time. And when a system breaks, you want to high five yourself and say, "Yay, my business just grew so much that I broke the system. What are we going to do to solve this now?" Okay. Good. And thanks again for Tori. She's putting all these articles in. So Hattie says, "Do you mean attachments go in files, or the emails themselves?" Just the attachments. I mean, it works a couple different ways. If a client like Diane sent me all of her social media posts in an email, so I worked off of the email. I scheduled all of her posts. I put anything I needed to in my calendar to remember, because there's some other steps that need to be done. And then I archived her email. I don't need it anymore. I can find it if I have to, but I don't need it. And I'll reply to her and say, "This work is all done. Thank you very much. Talk to you, blah, 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 blah." And then it's done. I don't need to keep that. There's not as much, do you guys know what CYA is? I think you probably do. There's not a lot of that, because clients you're having a relationship, and we're going to talk about this right now. Okay. So it's all about building relationships. It's about building trust. It's about building connection, and not the kind of relationships like we're friends. We are definitely not friends. Some of them, I don't even really know that much. Well, actually, a lot of them, I don't know that much about their work. And I'm providing administrative support. But think about it. Like I can do someone's calendar and book his travel and even do his PowerPoints, add graphics and organize them. I can sit in on a webinar with him and facilitate it and add closed captions. That's where I would actually learn about his business, their business. But I can do a lot of things and not really know how they make money because I don't handle their money, right? I don't handle their client relationships, but I know who they're having lunch with, but I don't know what they're talking about. And so in that way, it's a professional boundary. They know that when they call, if you can, you'll pick up the phone, and that you'll let them know when you receive work from them. You'll check in for understanding. You're going to communicate the next steps with them, and if you need to, you're going to renegotiate deadlines with them, but it's a relationship, right? It's a relationship. And then you're going to communicate when you're done. So there's work that I do that just gets done automatically every week. And as soon as I do it on Monday, I say, just checking in, hope you had a nice weekend. These 3 things are finished. Here's the links, thanks. And that's it. But that way, like my clients are like, okay, that's done. Okay, that's done. They're just, I want to keep them relaxed and calm about the work that I'm providing and build that level of trust. Okay. So any questions about this? This is probably not, I don't know if this is what you expected when you guys decided to come, but this is really how it works. So all of those what ifs, just put them to bed. They're just wasting time. You will handle it. Okay. You will handle it. And what I say to myself when I get overwhelmed, which I do, is, you know what? You know what to do. Just stay calm. If you're calm, you can handle this. If you're freaking out and going on and on about it in the kitchen with, Greg, it's just stirring me up. You don't want to do that. Okay. You don't want to do that. Good. Good. All right. So before we go, we have 2 minutes. I want to tell you about something brand new. It's a training. It's going to start on June 19th. It's a 5-day training. And it's called Kickstart Your VA Business. And so we're going to learn how to start your business from scratch. We're going to talk about services. We're going to talk about how to talk about your work. We're going to talk about where to get clients without prospecting. We're going to talk about the key systems you need. So I'm going to go into more detail about Toggle and project management and things like that. And I'd love for you to come. So you can go right on over to vakickstart.com. And you know what? I just registered that domain this morning, so it may or may not work. So if it does not work right now and you want to sign up, you can go over to thevaconnection.com, and there's a banner right at the top. So is this part of VA School? No, it's not part of VA School. I will be. It's a free training to get you guys started, and then on Thursday, I will open doors to VA School. So 19, 20, 21, 22. On June 22nd, I'll open doors to VA School. So for those of you who have been waiting to enroll, your time is then, okay? And go ahead and put yourself over on the wait list. And there's a special bonus if you sign up the first day. And we'll let you know what the bonus is. A 30-minute strategy session with me. And we'll send you an email before anybody else to let you know that, excuse me, that you can sign up and get this bonus for people on the wait list, okay? Good, good. All right, everybody. Very exciting. Love this topic. So what I want you to do is go out in your backyard or the park or wherever and just say, bring it on. I can handle all the clients. I can handle all the clients. And the thing is that you also have a community behind you in the VA Connection and VA School and the VIP Club of like-minded virtual assistants who will help you if you get too much work. All right. So let that be your problem. Let your problem be, I have too much work. Okay. Good. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you right here again for Lessons from the Cockpit next week. And bye for now.